Marcus Chen wiped the sweat from his forehead as he entered the main training hall of the Galactic Defense Academy. The massive circular room stretched out before him, filled with cadets from 47 different species. Some had scales, others had feathers, and a few seemed to be made of living crystal. Marcus was just human average height, average build, nothing special by galactic standards. "Attention all cadets." The robotic voice of the station's AI echoed through the hall. "Disaster management simulation begins in 5 minutes. Report to your assigned stations." Marcus jogged toward Station 7, where his team waited. The Galactic Defense Academy was the most prestigious military school in known space. Getting accepted as a human was tough. Earth had only joined the Galactic Council 20 years ago, and most alien species still saw humans as newcomers. Adequate soldiers, decent pilots, but nothing remarkable. "Chen, you are late," said Instructor Vakara, a tall Valkyrian with purple skin and 4 eyes. Her voice was sharp and cold. "Humans must learn punctuality." "Sorry, Instructor. Won't happen again." Marcus took his position at the control panel. Next to him stood Corks, a massive Drachnor whose species resembled walking dinosaurs. On his other side was Saren, a small Mindaran whose large head contained one of the brightest minds in their class. "Today's simulation involves a station breach," Instructor Vakara announced. "Toxic gas leak in multiple sectors. You will coordinate evacuation and containment. Follow protocol exactly. Any deviation results in immediate failure." The simulation began. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the control panels. Marcus watched his screen as virtual casualties started mounting. His job was to coordinate the engineering teams while others managed medical and security. "Sector 4 breach expanding," called out a Thaxian cadet, her 4 arms moving across multiple screens simultaneously. "Rerouting emergency power," Saren muttered, his fingers dancing over the controls. Marcus focused on his task, directing repair teams to critical areas. The simulation was challenging but manageable. He had run dozens of these drills before. Then everything changed. Instructor Vakara stumbled. Her 4 eyes rolled back, and she collapsed against the wall. Across the training hall, 2 more Valkyrian instructors dropped to the floor, unconscious. "Is this part of the simulation?" asked Corks, confusion in his deep voice. Marcus stared at his screen. New alerts were appearing, real alerts, not simulation markers. The air quality sensors showed actual contamination spreading through the ventilation system. His heart started racing. "This is not a drill," Marcus said quietly. "Look at the biosigns. Those are real readings." The training hall erupted in chaos. Cadets shouted questions in dozens of languages. Some tried to help the fallen instructors. Others stood frozen, waiting for orders that would not come. "What do we do?" a small Corvan cadet squeaked, her thermal-sensitive eyes wide with fear. Marcus looked around. The senior cadets, mostly Valkyrians and other established species, were arguing about proper protocol. They were trained to wait for instructions, to follow the chain of command, but the chain of command was unconscious on the floor. The contamination was spreading. Marcus could see it on his screen, sector after sector turning red. They had maybe 30 minutes before the entire station became uninhabitable. "Listen up," Marcus shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. "We need to act now." "You have no authority," said Draven, a Valkyrian senior cadet, with silver markings that indicated noble birth. "We must wait for backup instructors." "There's no time," Marcus argued. "By the time backup arrives, we'll all be dead." "Look at the readings." Draven moved toward the communication panel, but Marcus stepped in his way. The Valkyrian was taller and stronger, but Marcus stood his ground. "We follow protocol," Draven insisted. "That is what separates soldiers from animals." "Protocol was written assuming we'd have instructors," Marcus shot back. "We don't. So we adapt. Or we die." "Your choice." Saren's voice came from behind them. Marcus is correct. The contamination is accelerating faster than standard models predict. We have 27 minutes. Maybe less. Marcus made a decision. He turned to the crowd of frightened cadets. Everyone, listen. I need the Thaxians on manual overrides for the ventilation system. Your forearms make you fastest. Corvens, use your thermal vision to scan for breach points. The gas will show temperature differences. Mindarin, I need you calculating safe routes through the station. Some cadets moved immediately. Others hesitated, looking toward the senior Valkyrians for confirmation. You cannot give orders, Draven said, his voice rising. This is against regulations. This is against regulations. Then report me when this is over, Marcus replied. Right now, people are dying. He turned back to his screen and began pulling up emergency protocols. His hands shook slightly, but he forced them steady. He had studied every manual, every procedure. He knew this station better than most because humans had to work twice as hard to prove themselves. Cork stepped forward, his massive frame casting a shadow over Draven. I will follow the human. He makes sense. That decision changed everything. Corks was respected, feared even. Other cadets began moving to their assigned tasks. Draven's face turned a darker shade of purple with anger. But he was outnumbered. Marcus pulled up the station schematics. The contamination was coming from the Environmental Control Center, the same place where the instructors had been conducting some kind of classified test. Whatever went wrong there was now spreading through the entire facility. Saren, can we seal off the source? Yes. But it requires command authorization codes, Saren replied, his large eyes reflecting the screen's glow. Marcus's stomach dropped. Only instructors had those codes. He looked at Instructor Vikara, still unconscious. Her breathing was shallow, her skin color fading. There has to be another way, Marcus muttered. There is one option, Saren said quietly. Emergency override from the command deck. But accessing it without authorization is a court-martial offense. Possibly treason. Marcus looked around the training hall. 200 cadets from dozens of worlds, all looking scared, all depending on decisions made in the next few minutes. Some were barely adults, many had families waiting for them back home. He thought about his own family on Earth. His mother, a teacher. His father, a construction worker. Regular people who had been so proud when he got accepted to the academy. What would they want him to do? The answer was obvious. I'm going to the command deck, Marcus announced. Who's with me? Marcus announced. Who's with me? Lissa, another human cadet with medical training, stepped forward immediately. I'm in, Corks nodded. You lead. I follow. Saren hesitated only a moment. Someone must keep you from breaking everything important. Draven blocked their path one last time. This is mutiny. I will report every violation. Marcus met his eyes steadily. Fine. Report me. Court-martial me. Execute me if you want. But do it after everyone here survives. Deal? For a long moment, Draven said nothing. Then, slowly, he stepped aside. Marcus and his team ran toward the command deck. Behind them, the other cadets worked frantically to slow the contamination spread. Alarms continued wailing. The clock was ticking. As they reached the sealed command deck door, Marcus placed his hand on the security panel. Red lights flashed, access denied. Override authorization required. The AI's cold voice announced. Marcus took a deep breath. Once he did this, there was no going back. His career might be over before it truly began. But careers did not matter if everyone was dead. Emergency override. Authorization Chen 77 Delta. I am assuming command. The panel beeped. The door slid open. Marcus stepped inside, knowing he had just broken every rule in the Academy handbook. The command deck was a disaster. Warning lights flashed red and yellow across every console. The main viewing screen showed a station-wide map covered in spreading crimson zones. Marcus felt his stomach twist as he realized how bad things truly were. Oxygen scrubbers failing in sectors 3, 7, and 9. Lissa read from a medical station. We have cadets sheltering in all 3 areas. Saren rushed to the engineering console, his small fingers flying across the controls. Power core temperature rising. If it reaches critical levels, the automatic systems will initiate emergency venting. That means opening the entire station to space. How long do we have? Marcus asked, sliding into the commander's chair. It felt too big, too important for someone like him. 90 minutes? Maybe 2 hours? Saren replied without looking up. The calculations are not precise, because the contamination is affecting the sensors. Corks positioned himself by the door, his massive arms crossed. What are your orders? Marcus stared at the screen. 200 cadets scattered across a dying station. 47 different species, each with different needs. The Corvens needed cold temperatures. The Draxians required high humidity. The Mindarans could not survive without specific atmospheric pressure. How could he possibly save them all? First priority, get everyone to safe sectors, Marcus decided. Lissa, identify which areas still have stable life support. Saren, tell me which systems we can sacrifice to keep those areas running. Sacrifice? Saren's large eyes widened. You mean intentionally shut down sections? If we try to save everything, we lose everything, Marcus explained. We consolidate. Concentrate our resources on keeping some areas perfect, instead of all areas barely functional. It was harsh mathematics, but it was their only chance. Marcus pulled up the cadet roster and began organizing evacuation routes. The Velcarians and Draxians, being larger and stronger, would help move equipment. The smaller species would travel together in protected groups. Broadcast this on all channels, Marcus said into the communication system. All cadets, this is Chen from the command deck. I need everyone to listen carefully. We are evacuating to sectors 2, 5, and 8. These areas have stable life support. Move quickly but do not run. Help anyone who needs assistance. We survive together, or not at all. His voice echoed through the station. For a moment, there was silence. Then Corks's voice came through from the training hall. Acknowledged. Beginning evacuation now. Other voices followed, cadets reporting from different sections, confirming they received the orders. Not everyone was happy about taking commands from a human. But fear was a powerful motivator. The next hour became a blur. Marcus coordinated movements like pieces on a chessboard. When a corridor became too contaminated, he rerouted groups through maintenance tunnels. When a sector's doors jammed, he sent the Thaxians with their 4 strong arms to force them open manually. But exhaustion was becoming a problem. Marcus, you need to rest, Lissa said, appearing beside him with a water container. You have been awake for 19 hours straight. I'm fine, Marcus replied, his eyes fixed on the screens. Your reaction time is slowing. I can see it in your command decisions. Marcus took the water but did not stop working. The truth was, he could feel the fatigue pulling at him like weights on his shoulders. His eyes burned. His head throbbed. But there was no time to rest. This was when human biology became an advantage. On Earth, humans were persistence hunters, ancestors who chased prey, not by being faster or stronger, but by simply never giving up. While other predators sprinted and tired, humans just kept going. Hour after hour, day after day, if needed. Saren was struggling. Mindarans had incredible intelligence but poor physical stamina. He had been working the engineering console for hours, and his movements were becoming shaky. Saren, take a break, Marcus ordered gently. Cannot. If I stop monitoring the power core, I might miss critical warnings. Then teach someone else to watch for those warnings. You are no good to us if you collapse. Reluctantly, Saren agreed. He trained a Corvan cadet on what to watch for, then retreated to rest. Other species were also showing strain. The Velcarians, despite their strength, needed regular rest cycles. The Draxians required feeding every 6 hours, or their blood sugar dropped dangerously. Marcus kept pushing. His human body was built for this kind of sustained stress, not comfortably, but functionally. Then the real trouble started. Marcus, we have a problem in Sector 12. Corks's voice crackled through the speakers. Draven and 6 other senior cadets are refusing to evacuate. They say the sector is safe, and they will not take orders from an unauthorized commander. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. Of course. Draven and his followers were still following rigid protocol, waiting for proper authority to tell them what to do. How bad is Sector 12's life support? Saren checked his readings. Contamination will reach there in approximately 40 minutes. After that, anyone inside will be unconscious within 10 minutes. Can we seal them in remotely? Keep the contamination out? Negative. The sector's seals are damaged. That is why it was not designated as a safe zone. Marcus felt anger rising in his chest. Draven was willing to let pride kill him and 6 others. But Marcus could not just leave them to die. No matter how stubborn they were. I'm going to Sector 12, Marcus announced. Absolutely not, Lissa protested. You are needed here on the command deck. If I stay here, 7 cadets die. That is not acceptable. Send someone else. They won't listen to anyone else. They barely listen to me. Marcus stood up from the commander's chair. His legs felt stiff, his back ached, but he forced himself to move. Corks met him at the door. I come with you, the big Draknor said simply. They moved through the station's corridors quickly. The lighting had switched to emergency mode dim red illumination that cast strange shadows. Twice they had to climb through damaged sections where the floors had buckled from pressure changes. Sector 12's door was sealed when they arrived. Marcus activated the communication panel. Draven, this is Chen. Open the door. We are not leaving, Draven's voice replied. This sector is adequately safe. Your panic is unnecessary. The contamination will reach you in 35 minutes. You will die. You exaggerate to maintain your illegal authority. Marcus felt frustration building. He could force the door open with Corks's help, but physically dragging 7 unwilling cadets through contaminated corridors seemed impossible. What do you want? Marcus asked. What will convince you to evacuate? There was a long pause. Then Draven spoke again. Prove the danger is real. Show us sensor readings. Contamination analysis. Something beyond your word. Marcus looked at Corks, who shrugged his massive shoulders. It was actually a reasonable request. Marcus accessed a wall terminal and transmitted the current sensor data directly to Draven's location. Minutes passed. Marcus watched the chronometer tick down. 30 minutes. 28. 26. Finally, the door opened. Draven stood there, his face unreadable. The data is concerning, he admitted stiffly. We will evacuate. Relief washed over Marcus. Good. Follow us. Stay close. They began the journey back to Sector 5. The group moved quickly, but not quickly enough. Warning alarms suddenly erupted around them. The contamination was spreading faster than predicted. Run! Marcus shouted. They sprinted down the corridor. Behind them, Marcus could hear the hissing sound of gas flooding through the ventilation system. The lights began flickering. Draven stumbled, and Corks grabbed him with one massive hand, practically carrying the Valkyrian. They reached the safe zone's bulkhead door with seconds to spare. Marcus slammed his hand on the close button. The massive door ground shut just as the contamination cloud reached them. Everyone collapsed against the walls, breathing hard. Draven looked at Marcus with something new in his 4 eyes. Respect, perhaps. Or at least acknowledgement. You came back for us, Draven said quietly. Even though we opposed you. We are all on the same side, Marcus replied simply. Academy politics do not matter when lives are at stake. Back on the command deck, Lissa reported more bad news. The power core is becoming unstable faster than we calculated. We have maybe 60 minutes before automatic venting initiates. Marcus returned to the commander's chair. 60 minutes. 200 cadets. 1 dying station. And somewhere, unconscious instructors who held the knowledge to save them all. If only someone could wake them up. Marcus stared at the medical readings displayed across the screen. Instructor Vaykara and the other Valkyrian instructors were still unconscious. Their vital signs weak but stable. Lissa had moved them all to the medical bay in Sector 5, where she monitored them constantly. Can you wake them? Marcus asked, through the communication system. Not safely, Lissa replied. Whatever this contamination is, it specifically attacks Valkyrian neural pathways. Their brains are shutting down non-essential functions to protect core processes. Forcing them awake could cause permanent damage. Marcus ran his hands through his hair. The instructors knew every system on this station. They had access codes, override commands, and years of experience. Without them, Marcus was working blind, making educated guesses about technology he barely understood. "Wait," Saren said suddenly, looking up from his console. "I found something in the contamination analysis. This is not a random accident." "What do you mean?" Marcus moved to stand behind the small Mindaran. Saren pulled up chemical formulas that meant nothing to Marcus. "This compound was engineered. It is too specific, too targeted. Someone designed it to affect Valkyrian biology." A cold feeling spread through Marcus's chest. A weapon? Possibly. Or an experiment that went wrong. Saren scrolled through more data. "There are records here of classified tests being conducted in the Environmental Control Center. The instructors were testing something called Project Stillwater." Corks moved closer, his large shadow falling across the console. "Why would they test weapons on their own station?" "Maybe they were testing defenses against weapons," Marcus suggested. "Trying to find a cure or protection." Something went wrong with the containment. Lissa's voice came through the speakers. "Marcus, I found medical notes in Instructor Vakura's personal files. There is a neutralizing agent for the contamination. It can wake them up and restore their neural functions." Finally, some good news. "Where is this agent?" "That is the problem. It is stored in the Environmental Control Center, the contaminated area where this all started, and administering it requires shutting down life support to Sectors 2 and 8 for approximately 20 minutes, while the treatment circulates through their systems." Marcus felt his hope crumble. "Sectors 2 and 8? Those are 2 of our 3 safe zones. We have 130 cadets sheltering there." "I know," Lissa said quietly. "Without life support for 20 minutes, they would need emergency oxygen supplies. We have enough suits for maybe 40 cadets, not 130. It was an impossible choice. Save the instructors who could save everyone, but kill cadets in the process. Or let the instructors remain unconscious and hope they could survive without their expertise." "How long until the power core reaches critical?" Marcus asked. 42 minutes, Saren reported. Marcus closed his eyes and thought. There had to be another way. There was always another way. Humans did not accept no-win scenarios. That was what made them different, what made them frustrating to other species. Where aliens saw mathematical certainty, humans saw possibilities. "What if we do not shut down life support?" Marcus asked suddenly. "What if we reroute it?" Saren's large head tilted. "Explain." "The station has backup power conduits, right? Emergency systems that can operate independently?" "Yes. But they are not strong enough to support full life support systems. But they could support reduced systems. Lower oxygen, cooler temperatures, minimal power. Uncomfortable but survivable for 20 minutes. Saren began calculating rapidly. It is theoretically possible. But manually rerouting power requires accessing junction points throughout the station. Someone would need to go outside. Outside? You mean spacewalk? Yes. 3 critical junctions are located on the station's exterior hull. Someone must physically reconfigure the connections while we perform the treatment. Marcus looked at the station schematic. The junction points were marked in red high radiation zones, damaged areas where debris still floated from the initial contamination breach. No one should be out there. The radiation alone could be lethal. "I will go," Marcus said. "No," Lisa protested immediately. "Your biological readings are already stressed. You have been awake for almost 24 hours. The radiation exposure would kill you." "Then it kills me," Marcus replied calmly. "But everyone else lives. That is not acceptable," Corks rumbled. "I will go instead," Marcus shook his head. "Draxnor physiology is even more vulnerable to radiation than human. You would die before reaching the first junction. Humans are more resistant to environmental damage. It is one of our few advantages." "There must be another option," Saren insisted. his voice tight with worry. There is not. Not in the time we have. Marcus stood and walked toward the equipment locker. Saren. Calculate the exact sequence I need to follow. Lissa. Prepare the treatment for the instructors. Corks. You have command while I am gone. The big Draknor looked uncomfortable. I am not qualified to lead. You are qualified enough. Just keep everyone calm and follow Saren's technical guidance. Marcus pulled out an environmental suit and began checking its seals. If I do not make it back, finish the mission. Save everyone. That is an order. Draven's voice came through the communication system. Chen, I am hearing your conversation. I want you to know. I was wrong about you. You are a true commander. Save the compliments for when this is over, Marcus replied, but he smiled slightly. He finished suiting up and entered the airlock. The helmet's display showed his vital signs: heart rate elevated, blood pressure high, oxygen consumption faster than normal. All signs of stress and exhaustion. The suit's medical system recommended he rest before attempting extravehicular activity. Marcus ignored the recommendation and cycled the airlock. The outer door opened, and space stretched before him. The station's damaged hull looked worse from outside. Entire sections were torn open, exposing interior corridors to the void. Debris drifted everywhere: pieces of hull plating, frozen clouds of atmospheric gas, fragments of equipment. First junction is 30 meters to your left. Saren's voice guided him through the helmet speakers. Follow the yellow maintenance line. Marcus activated his suit's magnetic boots and began walking along the hull. Each step was slow and deliberate. The boots locked to the metal surface, then released, then locked again. It was exhausting work, especially in his already tired state. The radiation warnings began immediately. His suit's sensors showed dangerous levels. The shielding would protect him for a while, but not forever. He could feel heat building inside the suit as it worked to deflect the energy. First junction reached, Marcus reported. What do I do? Saren walked him through the process. Marcus had to remove an access panel, disconnect 3 power conduits, and reconnect them in a different configuration. His hands shook inside the gloves, whether from exhaustion, radiation, or fear. He could not tell. Second junction is 50 meters forward, Saren directed. Marcus began walking again. His legs felt heavy. The suit's weight seemed to increase with each step. Sweat dripped into his eyes, but he could not wipe it away inside the helmet. Halfway to the second junction, his vision blurred. The radiation was affecting him faster than expected. Human resistance to environmental damage was good compared to most species. But it had limits. Marcus, your biosigns are critical. Lissa's worried voice came through. You need to come back inside. After the third junction, he replied, forcing his legs to keep moving. The second junction was more complex. The access panel was damaged, bent from some impact. Marcus had to pry it open manually. His gloved hands slipped twice before he got enough leverage. Inside, the conduits were partially melted from heat damage. This is worse than we thought, Marcus reported. I need to bypass the damaged sections. That will take additional time, Saren said. At least 10 minutes. 10 minutes he probably did not have. But there was no choice. Marcus began working, his movements becoming slower, less precise. His hands felt numb, despite the suit's heating system. Talk to me, Marcus said. Someone talk. Keep me focused. Lissa began speaking, her voice steady and calm. She told him about Earth, about her home city of Lagos, about why she joined the academy. Other voices joined in chorus, describing his homeworld's red deserts. Saren explaining Mindarin philosophy about the connection between all living things. Their voices kept Marcus anchored, as his body screamed for him to stop, to rest, to give up. Second junction complete, he finally announced. Third junction is 80 meters forward and 30 meters down, Saren said. Marcus, that is on the underside of the station. You will need to climb. Marcus looked down, or what passed for down in zero gravity. The station's curved hull stretched below him, and beyond that, the planet they orbited glowed blue and white. He began climbing down, His magnetic boots felt like they weighed 100 kilograms each. His breathing was labored, the helmet's display showing oxygen consumption far above normal levels. Then his right glove tore on a piece of jagged metal. Marcus stared at his right glove. A thin cut ran across the palm, barely visible but definitely there. The suit's internal pressure was holding. But the integrity warning light blinked yellow on his helmet display. "I have a tear," Marcus reported, keeping his voice calm. "How bad?" Lissa asked immediately. "Small. Suit is compensating. I can finish the job." "Negative. Return to the airlock now." Marcus kept climbing toward the third junction. "If I come back now, we all die. The suit will hold long enough." He hoped that was true. The suit's emergency sealant had activated, filling the microscopic gap with foam that hardened on contact with vacuum. But it was a temporary fix. Any significant pressure or movement could tear it wider. The third junction was located in the worst possible spot, a section of hull that had taken direct damage during the initial contamination breach. Metal panels hung at odd angles. Scorch marks showed where internal fires had vented into space. The radiation here was even stronger. Marcus's vision swam. He blinked hard, trying to focus. His hands moved to the access panel, but his fingers felt thick and clumsy inside the gloves. He dropped a tool and watched it drift away into the darkness. "Saren, I dropped the number 3 calibrator. Can I complete the reconfiguration without it?" There was a pause. "Yes, but you must be very precise with the remaining tools. Any error could cause a feedback surge that destroys the entire power grid." "No pressure then," Marcus muttered. His attempt at humor fell flat. He worked slowly, carefully. Each connection had to be perfect. His torn glove made everything harder. He could feel cold seeping through the emergency sealant. Not the full cold of space yet, but enough to make his fingers stiff. Inside the station, Saren monitored Marcus's progress while preparing for the next phase. Quarks had gathered all the cadets into the designated sectors. Lisa stood ready with the medical treatment for the instructors. "How long has he been out there?" Draven asked quietly. 41 minutes, Saren replied. "The radiation exposure alone should have incapacitated him by now." "Human endurance is remarkable," Saren said. "Their bodies can function far beyond the point where most species would fail. It is not comfortable for them, but they simply continue." Draven watched the timer counting down. "We underestimated them." "We underestimated him." Outside, Marcus finally completed the third junction reconfiguration. His hands were shaking badly now. The cold from his damaged glove had spread up his forearm. His entire right side felt numb. "All junctions complete," Marcus reported. "Saren, test the connections." Saren ran diagnostics from the command deck. Power flows showed on his screen, green lines indicating successful rerouting. "Perfect. All 3 junctions are operational. Marcus, you need to return immediately. Your biosigns are critical." Marcus began the climb back up the hull. Each step was a battle against his failing body. The magnetic boots felt impossibly heavy. His breathing came in gasps that fogged the inside of his helmet. "Stay with us, Marcus," Lissa's voice encouraged. "Just keep moving. One step at a time." But Marcus's vision was darkening at the edges. The radiation sickness was accelerating. His body's natural resistance had delayed it, but could not prevent it forever. He could feel nausea rising in his stomach. 20 meters to the airlock, Saren reported. Marcus took another step, then another. His right leg buckled, and for a moment he floated free from the hull. Panic shot through him as he drifted. His hands grabbed desperately for something, anything to hold on to. His left hand caught a maintenance rail. He pulled himself back down, magnetic boots reconnecting with the hull. His heart pounded so hard it hurt. 10 meters, Saren said. Marcus could see the airlock now. It looked impossibly far away. His body wanted to quit, to just float here in the darkness and rest. But 200 cadets were counting on him. He could not stop. 5 meters. Almost there. Marcus forced his legs to move. Each step sent pain shooting through his muscles. The cold from his damaged glove had reached his shoulder now. He could not feel his right hand at all anymore. Airlock reached, Marcus gasped. He fell through the outer door. Corks was waiting inside, and caught him before he hit the deck. The big Draknor helped him to a sitting position as the airlock cycled. Initiating treatment sequence, Lissa announced. Throughout the station, life support systems shifted to emergency backup power. The temperature dropped 10 degrees. Oxygen levels decreased to minimum safe levels. Lights dimmed to emergency red. Cadets huddled together, sharing warmth, breathing slowly to conserve air. In the medical bay, Lissa administered the neutralizing agent to Instructor Vikara and the other Valkyrians. The compound entered their systems, seeking out the contamination and breaking down its molecular structure. Treatment active, Lissa reported. 20 minutes begins now. Those 20 minutes felt like hours. In Sector 2, a young Corven cadet began hyperventilating from the low oxygen. Her roommate, Athaxian, held her close and breathed slowly, demonstrating the rhythm until the Corven calmed. In Sector 5, Draven led the Valkyrian cadets in their traditional meditation breathing. The practice helped them conserve oxygen while staying calm. Several other species joined them, finding comfort in the ritual. In Sector 8, cadets shared stories of their homeworlds, keeping each other distracted from the uncomfortable conditions. They talked about families, about dreams, about what they would do when this was over. Marcus sat in the airlock, his suit still on. Corks refused to leave his side. Saren monitored both the treatment progress and Marcus's failing biosigns from the command deck. Your radiation exposure is severe, Saren said quietly through the private channel. Even with treatment, there will be lasting damage. I know, Marcus replied. His voice was weak. Why did you do it? You could have sent someone else, found another way. There was no other way. And I am the commander. A good commander does not ask others to take risks they would not take themselves. That is very human thinking, Saren observed. Maybe. But it is the right thinking. The minutes crawled by. 15. 16. 17. In the medical bay, Instructor Vikara's eyes suddenly opened. She gasped, her body convulsing as her neural systems restarted. Lissa was ready with stabilizing medications. One by one, the other instructors began waking. Treatment successful, Lissa announced. Instructors are conscious and recovering. Cheers erupted throughout the station, audible even through the reduced life support. Cadets hugged each other, cried with relief, laughed with joy. Restoring full life support, Saren said, and warmth and air began flowing properly again. Instructor Vikara sat up slowly, her 4 eyes focusing on Lissa. What happened? How long was I unconscious? 4 hours, Instructor. There was a containment breach during your classified testing. The station nearly failed. Who maintained operations? Who coordinated the response? Cadet Marcus Chen, Instructor. He took command and saved everyone. Vikara's expression was unreadable. Where is he now? In the airlock. He performed an emergency spacewalk to enable your recovery. He is severely injured. Problem. The instructor stood, still unsteady, and made her way to the airlock. She found Marcus sitting against the wall, his suit still on, Corks hovering protectively nearby. Cadet Chen, Vikara said formally. Marcus tried to stand but could not. Instructor. Good to see you awake. Clung to a free 1,000. Clung to a bride. Clung to a Varms in 22. Clung to a Varms in 22. You violated protocol. You accessed unauthorized systems. You assumed command without proper authority. Yes. Instructor. You also saved 200 lives through exceptional leadership and personal courage. Vikara's stern expression softened slightly. Help him to the medical bay. Full treatment, priority status. As Corks and 2 medical cadets carefully moved Marcus, the instructor watched him go. She had trained thousands of cadets from dozens of species over her career. Very few had shown this kind of character. She activated her communication device and began composing a report. This incident required documentation at the highest levels. Marcus barely remembered being moved to the medical bay. The pain medications made everything fuzzy. He was vaguely aware of Lissa working on him, of voices discussing treatments, of someone mentioning something about Earth Defense Command. As consciousness faded, his last thought was simple. Everyone survived. That was all that mattered. The station's AI completed its incident analysis and flagged the report for immediate transmission to multiple destinations: the Academy Board, Galactic Security Council, and Earth's Honor Registry Committee. Something unprecedented had occurred, and the galaxy needed to know. Marcus opened his eyes slowly. White ceiling panels. Soft blue lighting. The steady beep of medical monitors. He was in a bed, wearing a hospital gown, with various tubes connected to his arms. "Welcome back." Lissa's voice came from beside him. She sat in a chair next to his bed, looking tired but smiling. "You have been unconscious for 3 weeks. 3 weeks?" Marcus tried to sit up, but his body protested. Every muscle ached. The radiation damage was severe. They kept you in a medical coma while your body healed. Human regenerative capabilities are impressive, but even you needed time. Lissa handed him a cup of water. "Drink slowly." The water felt wonderful on his dry throat. "Did everyone make it? All the cadets?" "Every single one. Because of you." Lissa's smile widened. "Saren visits every day. Quarks practically lived in this room for the first week. Even Draven came by several times." Marcus lay back against the pillows. Relief washed over him. Everyone survived. That was all that mattered. What happens now? Court-martial for unauthorized command assumption? Lissa laughed. "You should check your message terminal." She handed him a datapad. Marcus scrolled through hundreds of messages. His eyes widened as he read them. Messages from Earth Defense Command. From the Galactic Council. From news organizations across 47 worlds. From families of the cadets thanking him for saving their children. "I do not understand," Marcus said quietly. The door opened, and Instructor Vicara entered, followed by an elderly Velcarian wearing an admiral's uniform covered in decorations. Marcus tried to stand, but the admiral waved him back. "Remain seated, Cadet Chen. You have earned the right to rest." The admiral's voice was deep and kind. "I am Admiral Thexus, commander of the Galactic Defense Academy. I wanted to speak with you personally. Sir, about my actions during the crisis. Your actions saved 200 lives and prevented a catastrophic failure that would have destroyed this entire station. Your tactical decisions were studied by our best military analysts. Their conclusion was unanimous: you demonstrated exceptional leadership under impossible circumstances." Admiral Thexus pulled up a chair and sat down, which surprised Marcus. High-ranking officers rarely sat with cadets. "Let me tell you what happened after you fell unconscious," the Admiral continued. "The station's AI recorded everything. Every decision you made. Every order you gave. Every moment of the crisis. That recording was analyzed by strategists from every major species in the Galactic Council. What did they conclude? That humanity possesses something we did not fully appreciate before. You call it stubbornness. We are calling it adaptive resilience." The Admiral smiled slightly. "When presented with a no-win scenario, most species calculate probabilities and accept defeat. Humans simply refuse to accept it. You look at impossible odds and find solutions anyway." Marcus thought about that. "I just did what needed to be done." "Exactly, and that is what makes it remarkable. You did not overthink. You did not wait for perfect information. You adapted, improvised, and persisted when any rational analysis said failure was certain." Instructor Vicara stepped forward. "Cadet Chen, you have been awarded the Galactic Star of Valor. It is the highest military honor in known space. Only 3 beings have received it in the past century. You are the first human." Marcus felt overwhelmed. "I do not deserve that. You risked your life in a radiation zone to save unconscious instructors you could have left behind. You coordinated 47 different species with different needs and kept them all alive. You made command decisions that military officers with decades of experience struggle with. Vakara's 4 eyes looked at him with genuine respect. You earned it. Admiral Thexus stood. There is more. Earth has been a candidate for the Galactic Security Council for 20 years. Every time the application was denied, the other species considered humans too unpredictable, too emotional, too new to galactic society. But your actions changed the calculation. The qualities that made other species nervous, your emotional thinking, your refusal to accept defeat, your ability to function under sustained stress, proved to be exactly what was needed during a crisis. Earth's application is being fast-tracked. Within a year, humanity will have a seat on the council. 2000. Marcus could hardly believe what he was hearing. Because of one cadet during one emergency? Because you showed what humanity is capable of when everything is on the line. The Admiral placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. You have also been entered into Earth's honor registry. Your name will stand alongside the greatest heroes in human history. After the Admiral left, more visitors came. Saren arrived, carrying a datapad covered in calculations. I have been analyzing your decision-making patterns. Fascinating. Humans use emotion and logic simultaneously, in ways that create unique problem-solving approaches. That sounds complicated. It is efficient. Saren corrected. Most species use either pure logic or pure instinct. Humans blend both. It makes you unpredictable but remarkably effective in crisis situations. Corks came next, his massive frame barely fitting through the medical bay door. Marcus, you are well? Getting better. Thanks for staying with me. You are pack leader now. Pack protects leader, leader protects pack. This is the way. Corks placed a small carved stone on the bedside table. This is from my homeworld. It means, brother in battle. You have earned it. Marcus picked up the stone, feeling its weight. Thank you, Corks. That means a lot. Even Draven visited, though he looked uncomfortable. Chen, I owe you an apology. I was wrong about humans. Wrong about you. You are a better commander than I will ever be. You were following your training, Marcus said. That is not wrong. But sometimes situations require us to go beyond training. I understand that now. When you came back for us in Sector 12, knowing we had opposed you, refused your commands, that taught me what real leadership looks like. Draven placed a Valkyrian military medal on the table. My family has carried this for 6 generations. It represents honor above self. I want you to have it. Over the next few days, Marcus received visitors from every species represented at the Academy. They brought gifts, told him how his actions inspired them, asked his advice on leadership challenges. It was overwhelming for someone who still thought of himself as just a regular cadet from Earth. Lissa helped him walk the corridors once he was strong enough. They passed a memorial wall, where names were engraved, the 200 cadets who survived the crisis. At the top was written, "They lived because one refused to let them die." That is too much, Marcus said. So many people contributed. Saren figured out the power routing. You administered the treatments. Corks kept everyone calm. It was a team effort. Yes, but you were the one who made the team work, Lissa pointed out. You brought different species together, found ways to use everyone's strengths, kept people focused on survival instead of politics. A week later, Marcus was cleared for duty. Admiral Thexus called him to the command center. Instructor Vakara was there, along with Saren, Corks, Lissa, and surprisingly, all 200 cadets who survived the crisis. Cadet Chen, the Admiral announced formally. Due to your exceptional performance under crisis conditions, you are being offered early graduation with full honors. Additionally, you have been offered a command position leading a mixed species unit in the Galactic Defense Force. Marcus looked at the faces around him. These people had become more than classmates. They were his team, his friends, people who trusted him with their lives. I accept, sir, on one condition. The Admiral raised an eyebrow. You are negotiating terms? Yes, sir. Everyone who survived that crisis graduates with me. We survived together. We move forward together. The Admiral smiled. Your loyalty to your team is noted. Request approved. All cadets involved in the crisis response will graduate early with honors. Cheers erupted throughout the command center. Cadets hugged each other, celebrating their achievement. Marcus found himself surrounded by people from dozens of worlds, all thanking him, celebrating with him. Later, standing alone on an observation deck, Marcus looked out at the stars. Earth was visible in the distance, a small blue dot among billions of lights. He thought about his parents, probably sitting down for dinner right now, having no idea their son had become famous across the galaxy. The door opened and Lissa joined him. What are you thinking about? How strange life is. A month ago, I was just another cadet trying to prove humans belonged here. Now, he gestured at the stars. Now everything is different. Not everything. You are still the same person who refused to let people die, who worked until exhaustion, who went into the radiation zone knowing it might kill you. Lissa stood beside him. The galaxy just finally noticed what I already knew. You are someone special. I am just human, Marcus said simply. Exactly. And being human means never giving up, never accepting defeat, always finding one more option when everyone else sees none. She smiled. The galaxy needs more of that. The station's AI voice spoke softly through the observation deck speakers. Attention! Cadet Marcus Chen's actions during the containment crisis have been analyzed and incorporated into Galactic Defense Force training protocols. New designation created: the human variable. Definition: when all logical options are exhausted, consult human perspective. Alternative solutions may exist outside conventional parameters. Marcus laughed. They are actually calling it the human variable? They could have called it the Chen protocol, Lissa teased. The human variable is better. It is not about me. It is about what all humans bring to the galaxy: hope when situations seem hopeless, creativity when logic fails, persistence when others would quit. He looked at Earth again. That small blue world that had produced a species too stubborn to accept impossible, too optimistic to surrender, too adaptable to be limited by conventional thinking. We are going to change things, Marcus said quietly. Humans and aliens working together, learning from each other, building something better than any single species could create alone. You already started, Lissa reminded him. 200 cadets from 47 species, united because one human refused to let them stay divided. Marcus smiled. That was the real honor, not the medals or the recognition, but knowing he had made a difference. He had shown that different species could work together. That leadership was about serving others. That impossible was just another challenge to overcome. His name would be remembered in Earth's honor registry. But more importantly, his actions would be remembered by everyone whose life he touched. That was the legacy that truly mattered. The stars stretched endlessly before him. Somewhere out there were new challenges, new crises, new chances to prove that humanity deserved its place among the galactic community. Marcus Chen was ready. The end.